So when we interact in a connected way, what happens is, and what I talk a lot about in these videos, is we allow the energy in of the person we're talking about, or the experience we're in, or the group that we're in. And then rather than pushing our energy out, we allow that energy in. And then we allowed it to kind of move down through our energy centers, through our chakras, clear seeing, clear feeling, pure feeling, I sometimes call it. And then somewhere down in kind of our lower, like our solar plexus chakra, this like call for action, and the way to respond and to speak our truth and the appropriateness of that situation kind of comes to us intuitively. And then we say what we need to say. We say what needs to be said for that situation. And since we allow the energy in, it's in sync with, it has the same vibration of the energy that's needed, and it's all right there, and our energy centers are working well, and we're interacting clearly, and our wisdom can be shared with the situation we're in. So sometimes, however, if we get one word is triggered, or I actually prefer activated, if we get thrown off center and we no longer are allowed the energy, what happens is, first of all, when we get activated or triggered, the first thing we do is we lose touch with our resources. So this whole idea of allowing it in and accessing chakras of clear seeing, clear feeling, and clear knowing, and the clear call for action, that kind of goes out the window. And what does happen is this more fear-based, wounded part of ourself kind of steps in, you could say hijacks us, and we kind of do this fear-based response, okay? And which is not not beneficial to the people we're talking to or ourselves. And so and this can happen in subtle ways. And so this video is going to be a two-part series. The first part is going to be discerning what part of me is responding. Is it more centered, or is it a wounded or fear-based part of me? And discerning, they have a different vibration. So today's video will be on the discernment. Next week's will be what to do if we do discern that it is a fear-based or wounded part of myself, what to do and how to do an intervention to get myself back to center again and respond from my more balanced and connected place. So, as far as the discernment goes, it's just noticing they have a different feeling. And as you use this more connected way of allowing energy in, finding your call for action, it's like you're centered, your intuition's intact, your heart is open, you're not afraid or threatened by things. There's this flow that is happening in your conversation. And I know if you're watching this video, you experience that. And probably most of the time, that's probably how you're interacting. It is a little bit of a practice to learn to allow energy in and stop pushing energy out. And that's one of the ways we discern, by the way, too. Because what happens is, as soon as we are activated or triggered, we no longer allow energy. We start pushing our energy out. So that's probably a good place to start. One of the ways to discern is if we're allowing energy in, and then our intuition is telling us what to say, and we're seeing it clearly, and we're in our heart, and we feel connected, that is a sign that we're interacting in a connected way. Pushing energy out feels different when we try to control something, when we are angry. Not that anger is never appropriate, but when reactionary anger, manipulation, control, being afraid, all those things, they push energy out. they push energy out, trying to control the outcome. So, and that sensation, physiological sensation, feels different in your body. Allowing energy in has one sensation, pushing energy out has another. And if you can discern, that's one of the biggest things, if you can discern the difference in that feeling, then that's going to tell you where you're coming from. Okay, and if it starts to feel a little more, and the other way is it feels a little more reactionary. Okay, it's like rather than just allowing it in and saying what you need to do, we start reacting to things that they're saying, and it might, another way, reactionary. Another word would be it's defensive. We start defending ourselves or explaining ourselves. These are all maybe different words for variations of the same thing. But if we're explaining, or if we're justifying or saying why, or defending, or any of that stuff, that's a sign that now there is a more fear-based or wounded part of ourself that is kind of hijacked my response. Okay, so that's the main thing. And then if that's the case, you can even just ask, like just try to get an idea of like what you really want to know. It's challenging because you have less access to your resources, so you don't have the rational part of you, the intuitive part of you. But what you're really trying to determine is like, what is this part? If you could even have a dialogue with it, is like what sometimes you'll notice a part of you that's more fear-based and reactionary, but it hasn't fully taken control yet. It hasn't usurped you could even, I won't say possessed, because it's not an evil, it's just a wounded part of you. It's nothing evil. It's just a wounded part of you that's a little more shadowy, a little more unconscious, kind of takes over. And when it's there, you can kind of sense, I can anyway, and is like I can kind of sense when I'm still connected, but there's part of me that's not liking something. It's like a little bit of danger, Will Robinson, a little like I don't like something here. And then at this point, it hasn't taken over, so you still have your resources, and you can just kind of inquire, like, well, okay, why don't you like that? We're going to do more of this next week. Like, what don't you like about this idea that we're going to do here? And then you can really, by the way that part of you responds, you really gives you some clues about where it's coming from. If it starts doing these fear-based things, or these almost regressive or childish, or kind of snarky, or whatever, angry or triggered, like parts. If it starts feeling like that, then you know that there's something there, and then you can take action to, we're going to do that more next week. But then you can start to address this in a way that you can stay connected and you can interact with this thing. And what we're going to talk about next week is the way you interact with that thing. There's kind of a more hardcore, almost discipline, like get out of here, and there's a more compassionate way, and we're going to explore that next week. But this week, I'm really interested in the discernment piece. I really want you to just kind of work with, when you start noticing that something might be off or triggered, you start feeling uneasy about something, okay? And it feels like you're a little, maybe you're responding a little out of character, or you're getting a little more bitey, or a little more, you're firing back a little more than you're not your chill self, and that is a kind of a red flag or a warning sign of like there may be part of you, a wounded part of you, that may be beginning to kind of hijack your interaction. And if you can head that thing off at the pass with an intervention, that's really good. If sometimes it's too late for that, and it already has kind of taken charge, and then it's usually best to find a way to almost excuse yourself to be and continue the conversation at another time, or go for a walk, or just do an intervention of sorts. But we'll talk about more that week. So for this week, I really want you to consider, like, what does it feel like when you're having a connected interaction? Okay, like, I mean, and not like just emotionally feel that too, not just emotionally feel, but even physiologically. Like, is there a do you like grasp? It's almost like anger management. Or you like you make a fist, or does your breathing become more shallow? Do you feel like a little more anxious or buzzy, or like, are you more irritable? Like, what are the symptoms that happen when you're becoming more reactionary, more triggered, more activated? And what is it like when you're more connected? Does it flow more? Does it feel like your heart's open? You're more confident. You're not threatened. You're more, you're more chill. You're able to allow energy in more, versus when you're not, it's like you're starting to push your energy. I'm being redundant now, but what are the differences in feelings? And it really is going to be useful to be able to discern pretty quickly, like, which is which. And there may be degrees. It may be I'm just starting. I'm still, the calm part of me, the connected part of me is still in control, but there's this part of me that's not happy right now. Or it seems like I'm kind of gone, it's like I've lost, this part of me has kind of hijacked my interaction, and I just need to find a way to excuse myself so I can find my center again. And so that's that's my video for this week, and that's what I'd invite you to work with. So I hope you're enjoying your summer. Thank you for watching this video, by the way. And as you go through your week, just kind of notice what it feels like when you're connected. That's probably a good way. And when you're allowing energy in and you're flowing and your heart's open, you could call it open-hearted interaction. You probably have a word for it. It feels like my heart's open. Okay, what is the sensation? The emotional feeling, but also the sensation. And then what's the sensation when you're, activated or triggered or defensive or trying to control things or anxious? And just notice that. And if you can discern the difference between those two things, we're in really good shape to take action next week. So that is my video for this week, and I will see you in a week.